Welcome into a live Locked On Lions squad show. Fired up to be with you on a Monday edition. Jake Riepma, Natalie Kerwin, and Bradford Banta. Guys, what can't Amon-Ra St. Brown do? The sky's the limit.
Jake, you literally stole my line. I was going to say that word for word. Seriously, come on. You can't let the NBA reporter talk about Amon-Ra playing basketball. All right, that's it. I don't have a tease. That was it. So, Bradford, you go.
Oh, man. I just tell you, on a side note, the 2026 salary cap projected to be over $300 million. I tell you what, how aggressive can teams be? Type math is the question they're going to have to ask each one.
One pride. It's the Lions Squad. Everything Detroit Lions every week. Breaking down all the big hits and game-changing plays from the Motor City. The way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. From the roar of the Lions to the next great chapter, the Lions Squad Show starts now.
The Lions Squad Show starts right now. Jake Riepma alongside Natalie Kerwin and Bradford Banta. Welcome one, welcome all on the number one sports podcast platform, the Locked On Podcast Network. Great show lined up, as we mentioned in the open. Nat, great pre-show production meeting on our part, the communication at an all-time high, and I steal your tease. Amon-Ra St. Brown is all of a sudden a hooper now. Bradford talking about the salary cap. We've got those questions as well. And a good buddy of mine, Dustin Fiocco from Dustin Fiocco Sports, formerly of 97.1 The Ticket, will join the program in the second segment. Looking forward to that. But first and foremost, guys, what did you do with your non-NFL weekend, which is kind of just a tease into what we have going after the Super Bowl? We can say Super Bowl, right? The big game. I know we got to do the big game, but we're saying Super Bowl on this program. If Sam calls me later, I'll bear the brunt of it. But did we enjoy a football-less weekend?
Yeah.
Matt, please.
I was going to say I was traveling per usual, as I've been doing a lot lately. So I was in California with the Pistons on Friday and then traveled back all day on Saturday. So that's the trip coming back from California to Michigan is a long one. So we left at 10 a.m. but didn't get back until around 6 here in Michigan. So that's how I spent my Saturday. And then yesterday, slept in a little bit, but had to work Pistons last night. So the grind don't stop.
That's right. Biggest win in Pistons history, right?
Yep. Largest margin of victory, 53 points.
Holy cow. That is insane.
So
yeah. I would say your weekend was probably a little bit more eventful than mine. It was it was cold outside. And with no football going on, I would say the dogs got a few extra walks.
I love it.
I'm sure they love that.
Yeah. Absolutely. All right, guys, before we get to Dustin Fiocco here, first and foremost, Amon-Ra St. Brown going to the Celebrity All-Star game. I am so curious to get Bradford's take on this, because as a coach, I know how my father was. Anytime his guys were playing a different sport, putting themselves at risk, it was always the first thing you think of. And I think I have that paranoid approach to it as well. I know it's supposed to be fun, but at the same time, you're playing basketball. So those that don't know, Amon-Ra St. Brown going to be in the Celebrity All-Star game, and we know he can hoop. What a phenomenal athlete, doing the flips and everything else. Of course, he's going to be great at it. But Bradford, from a coaching perspective, when you see this headline, are you like, what are you doing?
No, look, I mean, it's the beginning of February, and the game takes place, this coming week? Is that All-Star game festivities? Yeah. I mean, look, go out and have some fun. I mean, it's, guys have to take a break from the game. They understand that. And everybody knows the risk involved. And look, is he more likely to get hurt driving to and from work, or playing, let's just say a 60-minute game, probably play 25 minutes out on the court? Is he likely to get hurt doing that? I mean, what's the percentages? it's cross training. It's something that he would be doing, playing pickup games this off season anyway. So he's just doing it on a national stage. Is he taking a chance? Bro, we take a chance every time we step outside the door. I just, it's nothing to get worked up about. And I would imagine he's possibly talked to the Lions management about it, because it's stuff that's written in your contract. If you do get an injury, sustained while playing, another sport, or, I mean, that's why I didn't take up skiing until I was done playing. One, I was born and raised in Louisiana, and the only skiing I knew was on water. But I didn't take it up until after I got done playing, because my wife, I mean, is an excellent skier, and she was raised out in Colorado, and she grew up doing that kind of stuff. And so, it's a chance you take. Don't get all worked up about it, and don't read too much into it. Enjoy it for what it's worth. It's going to be entertainment. Something tells me that he's going to be playing the perimeter anyway.
Yeah.
He's going from 3-point line to down the court, probably not going to paint all that much. So in all actuality, zero contact is going to be made with anybody.
But there's that competitive tick, I mean, some of these guys,
was just gonna say,
Nat, like, do you watch the celebrity all-star games? Like, some of these guys, like, I remember Ryan Russillo, Kevin Hart, they were taking it seriously a couple of years.
They do. I mean, if you're naturally got that edge factor in your brain, like I do when I play, when I go to an arcade, when I am doing any kind of competition against someone, I'm competitive. I really am. Like I want to beat whoever I am playing against. So I can see how Amon-Ra would want to take it really seriously. But at the same time, I'm like, let the man live. Let him go have some fun. I'm right with you there, Bradford, where I'm like, listen, during the off season, he's going to be playing pickup games at home back in California with his brothers like he did growing up. He grew up playing basketball before he really committed to football. So, I mean, listen, there's always risk for injury, but I think given the pace of the game and kind of the looseness of it, I don't think guys take it seriously, but I don't think it's like, I don't know if they're going to be going like balls to the wall. I could be wrong, but I think let him have fun. He deserves it. He's become a celebrity. He really has, with his podcast, with the commercials he's in, everything. Like he really has become a guy on kind of the main stage of, the NFL, as far as just a voice and a name that you see everywhere now. So I'm excited to watch. We'll discuss post All-Star game what we see from him.
Look at the stat line there. So
yeah, I kind of like the scouting report though that we were getting from Bradford there. Like, oh yeah, he's gonna be on the perimeter. He's not gonna be driving into the lane too much. Like, I kind of like this basketball side we're getting.
No doubt. We're gonna lean heavily on Nat for that. You're gonna have to break it down for us on the basketball side of things. And I would be remiss, we like to mix in some comments every now and then in our weekend review. I'm being scolded in the comments for not mentioning in the weekend review, as we're talking about basketball here, no mention of the basketball game in East Lansing and Friday. And Nat, I got to add a little.
What if it's because we don't want to talk about it?
Oh man, that's from John Smith there. Our resident Spartan, Natalie Kerwin, does not want to talk about what went down. Okay. But hey, that's the great thing. It's not like football. They'll play again, right? They play each conference opponent twice, so they'll get their opportunity to avenge that loss. But we'd also be remiss if we didn't mention the women's game on Sunday. That was a packed house, and that one went the way of the maize and blue as well. So Bradford, I know they're not your first team, but you've got some Michigan ties. You get the bragging rights for the weekend.
Sure. You heard me bring it up first thing, didn't you?
I love it.
Okay, great.
I love it. All right, let's chat with Dustin Fiocco of Dustin Fiocco Sports, and formerly 97 Won the Ticket. A little off-season conversation. Get into the Super Bowl as well, and some other NFL news. That's on the other side. Don't go anywhere. It is a live Locked On Lions squad show. But first, excited to tell you all about Prize Picks. Today's episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. The big game is almost here, and there's no better way to cash out during America's biggest sporting event than Prize Picks, where it always feels good to be right. And this week, Prize Picks has a special max discount for the big game. How about that? Max discount, big game, live in the app right now. Drake May just needs one passing yard for the max discount to win. I think he can get that. Add another player to your lineup, and if your pick hits, you can cash it in. Prize Picks is super simple to use. It takes no time to get started. The whole format is clean. You pick more or less on 2 to 6 player projections and watch the winnings roll on in. I love that you can follow Prize Picks partners like us and tail or fade our picks. That's right, fade my picks. I'll put them out there. So download the Prize Picks app today. Use that code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup on Prize Picks. Prize Picks, it is good to be right. Live Locked On Lions squad show, and time now to welcome in one of my good friends in the industry. We were together at 97.1 The Ticket. Then I passed the baton on to him and said, Dustin, it's your world now, man. Take it over. He was running things at 97.1 The Ticket, a Swiss Army knife, like a utility player, now doing your own thing, man. Thanks so much for joining us. Dustin Fiocco Sports on all social media platforms, man. How are you? Welcome to the Live Locked On Lions squad show.
Good to talk to you again, Jake. Happy to be on here. Appreciate you guys letting me join the show today. Doing very, very well as we're in the month of February. I'd like it if we could talk a Lions game that was taking place this month. We only got to see one in the month of January, but still a very eventful month for Lions in this month of January for sure.
No doubt about it. And nothing says, like I could be way off in this, but the closer friends I am with somebody and the better relationship I am, I feel like the more leeway I have to wait to the last minute to bring you on in an off season. And so in a weird way, please take my text earlier today and my cry for help as a salute and sincere nod to our friendship that, hey, we're in a bind and you are the guy that I thought of first to hop on and talk some really important stuff like Amon-Ra St. Brown playing in a celebrity all-star game. Are you on my side, like a little bit worried that, hey, the basketball is a crazy game. A lot could happen out there.
Well, I will say the all-star game for the NBA, he's probably running more risk getting you hurt in that game than if you were to play in the Pro Bowl, the Cuddle Bowl, whatever you want to call the game that they're going to be playing in the NFL. But no, I'm all for Amon-Ra St. Brown taking the opportunity and playing that game. I hope he has a fun time. It should be a blast to watch him do it. I'm looking forward to seeing it.
Yeah, I like we all said, we think let the man live. I mean, if he's competitive, I think any of those guys are going to have that competitive gene in them. As on the show, we've been talking obviously a lot about all the new changes that the Lions have had as far as their, coordinator roles and guys that they have hired lately and Drew Petzing and Mike Kafka, not to make a hard turn here from the celebrity game over to actual Lions football serious now, but I just wanted to get your take, I guess, as we've been harping on it a lot over the last couple of weeks, just your overall thoughts on both of those hires.
So where I'm at with that is, obviously, I was a big proponent. I wanted to see Mike McDaniels come. I never thought he would take a job as an offensive coordinator, so I thought that was a pipe dream. Lo and behold, he does take that position just with another team with the Chargers. However, I still am on – I see both sides of the coin, but the coin that I'm on, the side that I stand on is I choose to be a little more optimistic. I look at this Lions regime, and over the years, they've made a lot of questionable decisions that left us scratching our head. Everything from guys like being drafted like Jahmyr Gibbs. Nobody wanted to see a running back drafted first round. That proved to be a right decision, along with picks like Jack Campbell, Sam Laporta, things we never would have decided ourselves that proved to be the right decision. So why I still do have some optimism with this Lions regime making the right decisions, even if they're decisions we don't see fit. I can also see the other side of the coin where people are a little skeptical because this role specifically at an offensive coordinator, that's a role that this team has not gotten right more often than not with this new regime. They're really 1 for 3, with the outlier being Ben Johnson, the one right hire in that position. So if they get it wrong another time, then I might be a little more concerned. So I can see both arguments. I'm just choosing to be a little bit more on the optimistic side.
Hey, Dustin, you see Kafka in his role as like a high-ranking offensive assistant. In the building, what do you think that is going to mean on a day-to-day basis?
To me, that kind of reminds me of when Ben Johnson didn't leave this team, when we thought he was going to leave a couple years prior. I think that goes to show that somebody like him taking that role, this still is a desirable destination where people are willing to, again, I go back to Ben Johnson. He could have been a head coach a year sooner. He chose to ride it out with this Lions team because he sees the potential that this team has. So him taking that role, to me, that tells me that the crew, the regime, and the team in general, they still believe the window is not closed. This is still a team that is very high with their morale and knows the ceiling is a Super Bowl. So I think these hires still indicate that this is a destination team that is on the potential verge of still getting to that Super Bowl that we desperately want to get to.
Dustin Fiocco is with us on a live Locked On Lions squad show. Appreciate everybody tuning in live. As always, feel free to mix in your questions in the chat as well. If we'll just kind of do the roundtable discussion, we work our way through some of these really important off-season stories like Amon-Ra St. Brown playing the Celebrity All-Star game. But Dustin, I love picking your brain too. I watched one of your videos on Dustin Fiocco Sports about some of the off-season grades, and that's always a fun conversation to have, especially in the off season. You look back and, okay, was this guy at the top of his game? And that has been a point of conversation with the three of us about Dan Campbell. And yes, he has earned the right to get the benefit of the doubt and is in good graces, but it felt like when he took over play calling, midway through the season, that significantly, of course, it significantly changed his role. He's calling plays, for goodness sakes, but you might have felt like, okay, some of the other components to being a head coach, he somewhat neglected. And I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I felt like on that video on Dustin Fiocco Sports, you kind of had a similar thought that, hey, I think because Dan Campbell has been so good leading this team and leading this turnaround, bringing the Lions to places they hadn't been in decades and decades, and really for the large part of the history of the franchise ever. But now that there's more of a, I guess, infrastructure in place with the offensive staff, what are your kind of thoughts as far as Dan Campbell kind of getting back to being the CEO and maybe utilizing what he does best as opposed to calling plays?
Now, I'll start off by saying I'm a huge Dan Campbell supporter. I think he is the right man for the job, and I love what he's done with this team. Going back to those grades that I did give him a C, which is actually better than I believe he gave himself. I think he gave himself an F at the end of the year, so I wasn't as harsh. But much like you said, I think every other aspect of his game as a coach suffered when he took over play calling. Offensively, I think he did a fine job calling the plays, but if you look at the rest of his management and clock management and team management, I think all of that took a step back when he took on that responsibility. So I think if you can get the offensive coordinator hired correctly, if we do have the right man for the job, we'll see Dan Campbell get back to where he had this team, where maybe they're more successful on their fourth down and maybe they are a little bit better with their clock management. And the reason, going back to why I gave him a C, is because all the other players I listed, you look at players like Amon-Ra St. Brown and David Montgomery, Jared Goff, so many players on this team that are good players did have a little bit of a regression this year. So why I had to be a little harsher on Dan Campbell is if so many of your players regress, at the end of the day, if your students are falling behind, it does have to fall a little bit on the teacher. So I think if he can free up his plate a little bit and have the right OC hire and can clean up that area and focus more aspects on the game, I think we'll get right back to the Dan Campbell we've been used to the last few years.
So if you give Dan Campbell a C, what did you give the other players if you want to go through some of them?
So the harshest one that I received the most flack on is David Montgomery giving him a D. And I know he's a hot topic in Detroit because a lot of people like to point to David Montgomery being the reason why this team, as far as missed the playoffs, we'll even say, because he didn't get as many carries, didn't get as many touches. And if you're of that team, then I got to say, you must question the Lions coaching staff and what Dan Campbell and the rest of this regime sees, because they're opting to not give him as many carries. And I can kind of see their point, because I look back to Christmas Day when we played the Vikings in a gotta-have-it game. Season's on the line. For the first time in, I think, 2.5 months, he received double-digit carries, 10-plus carries. He ended up running 25 yards in that game, no touchdowns. And as a result of him getting the most carries he had in 2 months, we put up 10 points against the Vikings and our season ended. So I think David Montgomery did have a big regression this year. I think he's capable of more, but also at the end of the day, I think he's a luxury we don't necessarily need, where if something becomes available where we could throw him in with the trade aspect to maybe beef up a much bigger need like our secondary or O-line, that's an area I wouldn't mind exploring.
I got you. And along those lines, just talking about roster, like player on a rookie deal right now. So who do you think the Lions are counting on the most in 2026? Who do you think they're putting all their eggs in a basket for one player that's still on his rookie deal for the 2026 season?
So if you're talking about just a rookie deal, I mean, Jahmyr Gibbs is going to have to be the to me, he's the franchise. Going back to decisions that made us scratch our head with this regime, I don't think many people were on board with drafting a running back in the first round, but he's a big reason as to why I don't think we need David Montgomery as much, because Jahmyr Gibbs is one of those running backs that is a generational talent. And I think now that we have an offensive coordinator that really is going to probably apply more usage of Sam Laporta, assuming he comes back healthy, you'll get more tight end usage. And I think another seasoned year of Tesla. Now that our receiving core can maybe be a little bit more reliable, I think that opens up Jahmyr Gibbs to even having a better season. Not saying he didn't have a great season this year. He had an amazing season, but you saw when teams were expecting the run, it was a little bit more harder for him to make his presence known in those high-pressure games. I think Gibbs is just going to be one of those players that year after year, he still hasn't reached his ceiling. And I think next season, it's going to be better than anything we've seen out of him yet.
Oh, for sure. I think one thing we like to do, especially in the offseason, you can do a little bit more division watching and looking at the rest of the league. And obviously we're privy to the NFC North, but it feels like there's just been such a changing landscape, and the Vikings firing their GM this week. And obviously the Packers hiring, needing to hire a new defensive coordinator and things of that nature. With the Bears' rise, where do you kind of look at the rest of the NFC North? And, no longer are the Lions the ones being the hunted, but they're doing the hunting. Do you, in your way too early predictions here, who do you think, is the most dangerous team? And then who is, I think the Bears are just cruising for a big regression, but that's because I hate the Bears.
So it's so funny how quickly the NFL can change. You go from the Lions at the bottom barrel of the NFC North to them being the clear and obvious top-tier team in the NFC North. And I think you looked at this season, and it was such an even playing field. I think next season is going to be very similar. I do have a hard time believing in Minnesota. I think that they might be at the bottom of that because I don't think they have the right I don't think they have the right quarterback situation. I'm not sold on J.J. McCarthy being the answer. I don't know if they're sold on that. The Packers, I think that where they're at with they're already at their ceiling. I can't see them rising any higher than they are. So I really do believe it is actually between the Lions and the Bears. And I think this year we can say Ben Johnson won the battle, even though the Lions beat the Bears twice in regular season games. Seeing where Ben Johnson took his Chicago team, the fact that they were playing in January and we weren't, I think that says he wins this battle. But I think the NFC North goes between Chicago and Detroit. And the next few years, we're going to really kind of figure out the answer. Was it more Ben Johnson? Was it more Dan Campbell? We don't have that answer yet, but I think we're going to find that answer out the next couple of years. And it's going to be between those two teams who I think are the best teams in the North.
Dustin, for the Lions then to make that jump from being bottom of the NFC North right now, of course, you got to add some pieces. We've talked about addressing the O-line and adding, someone opposite of Hutch. What is your ideal, scenario for what the Lions do as far as, I know this is also way too early, but we're always talking everything on this podcast as far as what they address in the draft and free agency. What would your ideal, scenario be?
So I don't think you need to mess too much with the offense. I don't think the offense is an issue. I think everything that needs to be addressed lies pretty much within the O-line and the defense, especially the secondary, because I don't know how many games. I'm sure it's going to be a few. Brian Branch will probably miss a few next season, and I don't know what the future holds for Kirby Joseph. So I do want to see those issues addressed in the draft, but not solely in the draft, because if you want to plug up all of those holes, we've all addressed it this season. The O-line and secondary, those are big holes, and I think it's a big ask if you're asking for nothing but first-year rookies and first-year draft picks to come in and fill those holes. I think that's something that needs to be addressed in free agency, which is why I don't mind a player like David Montgomery being a potential piece that can help fix that hole. But I think those are the two big issues. And then the third one is just kind of your generic sports talk, but it's real. They've got to get back to their identity. And this is still very much the same team we saw have that year 2 years ago where they were probably the best team in football, finishing 15-2. This year was a kick to the groin. They missed the playoffs, still had a decent year. They finished with a winning record, but I'm really hoping that they can get back to the identity that Dan Campbell really had this team. You saw it all the time. If they lost to a team, they had the revenge tour the very next time. This year, they missed out on the playoffs. I want this next season to be a revenge tour, storming into the playoffs yet again, winning the division once more, and this time finishing it off in the playoffs, putting together playoff wins, and finally, I do think this team is capable, finally getting to a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Woo-woo.
All right, Dustin. So from what you're hearing, just talking about this offseason, what do you think is the most realistic cap move Detroit makes first, whether it be restructure, extension, or possibly even the surprise release you're talking about with, I wouldn't say much as a surprise, but if David Montgomery were to get put out there?
David Montgomery is a thing that I kind of would like to see happen. I don't think that's going to happen. We all have heard the rumors on Anzalone. I would be shocked if he's a Lion next year. I think that's something. I don't think we need to really worry about re-signing anybody. We've kind of done that the last 2 years. So if there is a restructure out there, I think that's more so where we could be at. But you brought up the re-signing. I don't know if I can see anybody being re-signed. I think the next big name that you got to eventually re-sign past a rookie deal is Jahmyr Gibbs. But re-signing is something that I'm not worried about. If we can get a free agent move, picking up somebody in the secondary and in the O-line, I want to see both of those issues addressed, not specifically in the draft. Those are the two things I want to see us do. Bring in new talent in that regard.
Right on, right on. All right, Dustin, man, this has been awesome. Thank you so much for being on the live Locked On Lions squad show with us. We'll do it again in season and or maybe another off-season one. We'll just keep it rolling. But all the best, and people can find you on all social media platforms, Dustin Fiocco Sports.
That is correct.
All right, there we go. Track those social media analytics. I know it's a whole new game out there now with all the social media data points and everything else. But man, appreciate you so much. All the best, and we'll do it again. All right.
My pleasure. Take it easy, guys. Thank you.
Thanks, Dustin.
See ya.
There he goes, Dustin Fiocco of Dustin Fiocco Sports. We will recap, debrief, all that good stuff, and talk a little NFL news. I believe Commissioner Goodell has his big press conference today, and then the NFL is going international again. So that's all coming up next. Don't go anywhere. It's live Locked On Lions squad show. Today's episode of the Locked On Lions Squad Show is brought to you by Drip Drop. Oh, that's right. Drip Drop. All right, here we go. Kicking off the year. Feeling good is the goal, right? And honestly, hydration is the easiest win. When I stay on top of it, my energy, focus, and mood all level up. But let's be real, plain water doesn't always cut it, especially when you're grinding through long days, hitting the gym, or just trying to stay consistent with your health goals. That's where Drip Drop comes in. Doctor developed, proven fast hydration that helps your body, mind, and everybody work together and work better. Think clear focus, better energy, elevated mood, and even that fresh skin glow. That's right. I love Drip Drop, and it uses a precise ratio of electrolytes and glucose for rapid absorption, delivering 3 times the electrolytes and half the sugar of leading sports drinks. And it tastes amazing. I'm obsessed with it. There are 16 original flavors and 8 zero sugar options to choose from. Drip Drop's science-backed formula is trusted by firefighters, medical professionals, and over 90% of top college and pro teams because it rehydrates you faster and more effectively than water alone. Right now, Drip Drop is offering listeners 20% off your first order. Go to dripdrop.com and use the promo code LOCKEDONNFL. That's dripdrop.com, promo code LOCKEDONNFL for 20% off. Stock up now at dripdrop.com and use promo code Locked On NFL. Today's episode of the Locked On Lions Squad Show is also brought to you by Quo. Let's find that quote. There it is. How about that, sports fans? New year, new systems. This is the time when a lot of us look at the messier parts of how we run our business and think there has to be a better way. And there is. Streamlining your communication is one of the quickest upgrades you can make. And that's why today's episode is brought to you by Quo, spelled Q-U-O, Quo, the smarter way to run your business communications. Because when your team is reachable, organized, and communicating in one place, you're not just working cleaner, you're creating more opportunities to connect with customers. Your whole team can call and text from one shared business number, so nothing ever gets missed. Everyone sees the full conversation thread, which makes the replies faster and more personal. It works right from your phone or computer, and you can even keep your existing number. And Quo's smart AI tools automatically log calls, summarize conversations, and highlight next steps, so details never slip through the cracks. It's no surprise. Quo is the #1 rated business phone system on G2, trusted by more than 90,000 businesses, from solo operators to growing teams. Make this the year where no opportunity and no customer slips away. Try Quo for free, plus get 20% off your first 6 months when you go to quo.com/LockedOnNFL. That's QUO.com/LockedOnNFL. Quo, no missed calls, no missed customers. All right, our thanks to Dustin Fiocco Sports. How am I supposed to continue on when
Dude, the way I say it, I mean, go ahead and take a swig of Drip Drop. After that ad read, holy cow.
We don't need to debrief Dustin's conversation. We need to debrief Jake's ad reads because they're fantastic.
Yeah.
And I think you have found your side gig. Yet another one to add to the plate, Jake.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You should be reading some Super Bowl ads.
You got to be doing some kind of animated series or something like that, just with the voiceovers. Holy cow.
That would be a blast.
I tell you.
I would love to get into that. I've always been a big Disney Pixar guy. Cars, Finding Nemo, A Bug's Life. The earlier ones were better than the later ones, in my humble opinion. And that would be kind of a dream job. I mean, gosh, now you guys have the wheels turning, and it's gone from laughing and joking to I'm probably, after this podcast, gonna quit couple jobs and just start filling out applications. So
yeah, you're like, guys, this is my final episode.
Yeah, we'll see you later.
Yeah, maybe I better talk to an agent or something before that. But Shout out to Dustin Fiocco. Appreciate him hopping on. And I believe a little tease for next show on Wednesday. We've got Bradford Banta's good buddy, John Jansen. Correct? All right.
That is correct. Yes.
Said it with a little bit more authority, but that's a tease. John Jansen will be on the program on Wednesday, and we just keep the guest train rolling right along because that's what we do on the Locked On Lions Squad show, everybody.
I like it.
I know. So we're getting good people on here.
That's right. All right. No. NFL news. We touched on it briefly with Dustin, but the Vikings fire their general manager. Super long name. I'm going to butcher it. He's gone. The Vikings need to hire a new general manager is the biggest one. And obviously that is almost as important of a hire as your head coach, as everything else around the structure of your team. Bradford, I'll kick it to you first. As a player, as a coach, when the GM's out, you start to kind of feel the pressure and knowing that, okay, if he's on the chopping block, then the rest of us probably aren't safe. What does that do? And I know it's one team in the division, but anytime you get rid of the boss, that's a big deal.
No, it is a big deal. Player wise, it doesn't. I say it doesn't affect you, just simply because if you're producing on the field, they'll find a spot for you. Coaching wise, you also have to produce. It's a bottom line business. The GM that they bring in, is Kevin O'Connell going to have a say in who they bring in? I don't know. Is it going to be somebody that he's worked with before in the past? We don't know that. I did do some reading before the show, and he was under fire, I believe, before. He had taken, and as un-PC as this is, he had taken paternity leave during training camp.
I saw that.
He was working from home. But that's, look, as a player, as a former player, former coach, I don't debate on, what he did was right or wrong, but whenever you get into this business, it is an all-in affair. And what I mean by that is the family is included. Whenever I got into coaching, I did not get into coaching without my wife's consent, because I knew that I was going to be spending long hours away from home. And her final reason for us getting into coaching was, if you're not happy, we're not going to be happy. So, and I know this is going to bring you joy. So we'll make the sacrifice as a family. You go do what you have to do to be great at your chosen profession. And it comes with the territory. And it's not only the paternity, but then you start looking at the draft. You start looking at some of the free agent signings that he did for the Vikings, and some of them didn't pan out. And it reflects, because that's under your watch. It's not only under the head coach's watch, but as the general manager, you are in charge of picking the personnel that comes on the team. So you're going out to the grocery store, picking the ingredients, and then you're giving it to the head coach. Hey, you go make the meal. So it's something. And was it done a little bit later? Heck yeah, it was done a little bit later. But they're going to. Hopefully they have somebody in mind.
Yeah,
this late in the process, because it seems like it's already been picked over a little bit.
I know. It feels like they have their pickings of offensive coordinators and all of that, if that's what they were looking for. But as far as GMs go, I don't know at this point. Like they need someone in line there to get that organization back on track, because this year they really fell off the rails as a team. Like they really underperformed. So I'm going to be curious to see who they bring in. I don't know. I can't even think of a name right now that's available.
Yeah, I do think the other side of and Bradford, I agree with everything about the, it's a sacrifice for the entire family, and all that is true. But I also I kind of want somebody within the Vikings organization, and because I think it's a bad PR look for the stories out about, on the flip side, and I'm backpedaling a little bit because on one hand, there's only 32 NFL GM jobs, and to take paternity leave during training camp. But on the flip side is you drafted JJ McCarthy and Sam Darnold's playing in the Super Bowl. Like that should be the headline of why he's not the general manager for the Minnesota Vikings, in my opinion. But we're not inside those four walls to really know. But nobody, I almost feel like that's kind of an elephant in the room with some of this stuff, because it's very, like, it's a big myth. I mean, it's 1 year of JJ McCarthy, but right now it looks like a big miss.
As of right now, it is a big miss.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy's serving you up an ephus pitch, and you're just hitting air, and that's it.
But
so
Peyton Manning had a bad rookie year. Remember that? Peyton Manning.
Oh, I was there. I was there.
Well,
you got all right, quick story.
Yeah,
right,
we got
we love story time. Go.
So Jim Mora, head coach. Peyton Manning, rookie year. Jim Mora's first year as the head coach was Peyton Manning's rookie year. So we all know, and it's very well documented, that Peyton still holds the record for most interceptions by a rookie quarterback. And so, it got, I don't know, about halfway through the season, 3/4 of the way through the season, Peyton, we're at practice one day, and I'm going to try to put it in terms that you can use on radio, because the words that were thrown out, I know it's podcast, but I don't want to use these words. So Peyton drops back during practice. We're running, team offense and all this kind of stuff. And he sits there and he throws an interception to one of our scout team guys. And Mora, we're sitting there, and Mora just looks at him. He's like, hey, 18, the object is to throw it to our offensive players and not our defensive players. And everybody just kind of starts laughing, and he's like, yeah, coach, I got you. Well, then do it.
What? And like I said, this is an episode we can do some story time, because Jim Mora, of course, like, everybody's going to associate him with the playoff rant. Like, that's just, yes. I mean, that's Mount Rushmore of sound bites of all time. Playoffs. Was he always that animated and always that way?
Yes, he was. He was. So I'm sitting there. It's we're going through OTAs, his first year. Okay. Didn't really have the softest heart as a coach. So, and I'll give you an example. So we're sitting there at OTAs, and his biggest thing, one of his pet peeves, was players leaving the stretch line to go in and go to the bathroom. He goes, if you're going to do your business, take care of it before you make it out to practice, and then hold it until we get done. Everybody's like, all right, simple rule. So I am sick as a dog. Me, personally, I am sick as a dog. And, it's coming out both ends. And back then,
oh, God,
they just wanted you in the building. They didn't tell you to, like today, they would tell you to stay home. Don't come in. We don't want to get anybody sick. Stay home. So, this had been going on it started like the night before. So I come in and I'm in meetings, and before we go out to practice, and I'm worn out, just dog tired. And so we go out to the stretch line, and I'm like, oh man, I just felt it coming on. So Mora was like at the far end of the stretch. So I take off. I'm full dead on sprint, going in, make it into the bathroom, do whatever. All right. So I come back out, and he rips my derriere to no end. Rips it. He's like, got it, and just one F-bomb after another, just ripping me. And I'm so worn out at that point. I'm sitting there just like a hound dog with my head just hanging low while he's ripping me. And I just look up to him and I was like, okay. And then, and come to find out, he had just ripped a defensive back. So he already wasn't in a good mood to begin with. And so one of our assistant GMs comes up to me during practice and he goes, hey, Brad, he goes, I heard you're sick. And as soon as he said it, it was like he was on cue. I sit there and I just vomit right at his feet. And I look at him. I get done. I look at him and I go, yeah, I'm a little sick right now. And he goes, I see that. And so we get done with practice and we're reviewing practice. And I'm sitting in the meeting room. And I have my head down and my head is down and, it's in between my arms and all this kind of stuff. And, and Jim comes walking in and it's he and I in the room and he goes, "Hi, I heard you're sick." I'm like, yeah. Oh. And then he turns around and walks out. And I'm like, what the? I'm like, nothing like, hey, didn't mean to get on you. I didn't realize you were sick or anything like that. You're just like, oh. And then he walks out. I'm just like, that's the way to connect with your players right there, pal.
Oh, geez. That's
aggravating. All right.
Oh man, we the comments are loving the story time. I think that's going to be a regular regular
Can that
segment.
be a bit Bradford story? Like we got to come up with a good name for it. But
one of the comments was not on this episode, but Bradford Banter instead of Brad.
Oh.
My man Mastrovi's got it going right now.
Yeah. Oh yeah, there it is. Bradford Banter. That's right. That's right.
Bradford Banter is king.
That's right. That's right. Good stuff there. Last thing before we take one more quick break, NFL news. Continuing with the international focus, a game in Paris. I believe it's Saints Browns, and I think the best way to put that is what did Paris ever do to us? I mean, we're going to punish them by making them watch the Saints and the Browns for their game.
Well, you think, okay, the Saints is a natural fit.
Yeah.
Right?
For sure.
Just given the French connection, the fleur-de-lis on the helmet and all that kind of stuff. The Browns, I think they just threw a dart up on the board picking another team.
Well, they got a Pro Bowl quarterback in Shedeur Sanders, though, so there's some star power there.
along with another former Browns quarterback, Joe Flacco.
Oh,
who played in 9 games?
Yes, they had 2. When the Lions beat the Browns this year, Joe Flacco was the quarterback, and then
that's right.
When he went to Cincinnati, I think it was a Thursday night game. He torched the Steelers, and he still got it. Like that was
you love to see it.
Absolutely,
you kind of like when those guys can still light it up.
I heard Phillip Rivers got some votes to go to the Pro Bowl too.
I heard that as well.
Yeah, I know. I think he
what a year
declined
for
it.
that guy if that would have happened.
Yeah.
Oh, geez. I think he declined it just because he was doing the possible head coaching interviews.
Yeah. That's wild. Phillip Rivers, like the year in review letters. Sometimes people would send out at Christmas, like his is going to be, I went back to the NFL. I interviewed for an NFL head coaching job, and some people voted me for the Pro Bowl, which is just wild.
All right, here's one for you. So you're talking about the year in review with the Christmas letters and all this kind of stuff. His, not just him and his wife. How long do you think that letter is with 10 kids?
I mean, if every kid gets a paragraph,
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. That's not just a letter. That is a full-blown essay.
Yeah. That's single space, wide margins, try to condense it onto one page. I don't think that's happening. But
no, I think Philip and his wife were just like, thank God for Chat GPT.
Yeah, seriously, give us a recap.
Spit this thing out real quick.
All right, let's talk about the big game, the Super Bowl, when we come back right here at a live Locked On Lions Squad Show. Today's episode of the Locked On Lions Squad Show is brought to you by our good friends over at Game Time. That's right. Here we go. New year. Well, let me try that again. Here we go. There's nothing quite like being in an NBA arena. The crowd, the energy, the moment. Getting tickets, though, that part hasn't always been so simple. That's why Game Time has become the go-to app for scoring tickets fast without the hassle, and it puts the advantage back where it belongs with the fans. If you pull up that Game Time app, you can pick an upcoming NBA game and have tickets locked in within minutes. And this is the best part. If you hear nothing else for the next 30 seconds, hear this. The all-in price up front. There's no surprise fees at checkout. There's nothing worse than thinking you have a great deal. You go to checkout and every fee in the book is slapped on, and all of a sudden it's not a great deal anymore. And another little cherry on top is the view from the seat. High-res photo, none of those grainy renderings. You see exactly where you'll be sitting before buying, so that makes the decision clear and upfront. Zone deals as well. Choose the section. Game Time picks the seats, and you save big. So take the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use that code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. That's code LOCKEDON, locked on for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. And remember, it's gametime.co, not .com. Remember that, guys. Remember that. All right, final segment of the program on a live Locked On Lions Squad show on the #1 sports podcast platform, the Locked On Podcast Network. Today's show will be available in audio form only, wherever you get your podcasts. And guys, we would be remiss if we didn't talk about the big game, the Super Bowl, the Seattle Seahawks, the New England Patriots. Mike Vrabel, year #1, has his team in the big game. Seattle heavy favorite. What's everybody's initial read on this one, Nat? You lead us off.
I'm leaning towards Seattle in this one. I feel like their defense has just been carrying them all season long, and I feel like just watching them in the NFC Championship game, I mean, Sam Darnold's connection with Jackson Smith and Jigba has been incredible, and Kenneth Walker. I mean, just all the pieces that they have there. It just feels like they're destined to win. And Sam Darnold's journey, I know we alluded to it a little bit earlier when talking about, letting him go, and JJ McCarthy and how he has performed in Minnesota. I mean, just for Sam and for him to get drafted 3rd overall and then to bounce around, I think, from 3 different teams now, and then now to be on his way to a possible first Super Bowl title, 4 teams. I mean, even worse. So personally, I'm rooting for the Seahawks, but I also think they're going to win. So that's my personal take on it.
Jake?
I don't know. How are you leaning, Bradford?
No, I want to hear Jake's take.
You want to hear mine?
Yeah, or Jake's. Whatever order we're going to do this. I mean, Jake, I want to hear your...
defense wins championships. Yeah, exactly. No, I don't want to take anything, anything away from the Patriots, because it's not fair. They're in the Super Bowl, but right. I think the road to that Super Bowl has worked out in their favor. And I'm not saying they're lucky to be there, but you look at even the regular season schedule to the postseason, the ball has bounced their way metaphorically. And the Seahawks, to your point, Nat, have kind of passed more of the eye test in a lot of these playoff games. And they've been at home. That certainly helps, but they earned that by being the best team in the regular season as well. So on top of that, I think the explosive plays with Kenneth Walker, Jackson Smith, and Jigba, like you said, and even on special teams. I mean, that's how they beat the Rams on that Thursday night thriller with a punt return that sparked that big comeback. So in all 3 aspects, I think you just keep doing a position by position comparison. Seattle checks a lot more boxes than New England does. And the 4.5 spread, that's a large point spread for a Super Bowl to be 4.5 points like that.
Also, if Bo Nix hadn't gotten hurt, we could be looking at a different Super Bowl as well. Could be Broncos Seahawks. So who knows?
Guess what though?
If ifs were fists, we'd all be drunk.
Bo Nix got hurt.
But well, he did. Well, but before he got hurt, I had predicted it was going to be Seahawks Broncos. That's what I thought.
Okay,
but
I got you.
Anyways, that's my point in bringing that up.
You know what? I will take the opposite. So I'll take the Patriots, and I'll tell you why. So, I feel like that it all starts with the head coach, and I believe that Braves is going to have this team prepared for any and all possible situations that are going to be presented to the New England Patriots. You're going to see a team that is going to be fresh. You're going to see a team that is going to be relaxed. You're going to see a team that had a few rules going into this week, but not many. But if you broke them, you were going home. And that means they're focused. And it's not to say that the Seattle Seahawks are not, but I just think with Drake May at the helm and with the way that the New England Patriots have been playing defense, they're going to force the Seattle Seahawks to throw the ball. And they're going to roll the dice to see if the Sam Darnold that we have seen over the last month is the real deal. And what I mean by that is the old Sam Darnold going to show his face in this game by committing turnovers and making mistakes and trying to force plays, which is something that he has not done over this past month or this past season, matter of fact. That's my take on it. And I feel like the New England defense is going to play a major role in this game by forcing Darnold to beat them and not just do the proverbial manage the game. That's my reason for picking the New England Patriots.
I like it. Brent DeWitt, 1960 in the comments, agrees with you. He likes the Pats in a close game with those two defenses. Should be a great game. Pats in a close one. Now, more importantly than the game and the X's and O's is the Super Bowl spread. And I'm not talking point spread. I'm talking calories. I'm talking nachos, wings, pizza, steak, ribs, the good stuff here. What's the big Super Bowl plans? Nat, are you on the road for it?
I am.
Nah.
I'll be on a flight that afternoon going to Charlotte, but hopefully I'll be able to go to a restaurant once I'm there to be able to watch. So I don't know what my spread will be, TBD, but
sky's the
I'm
limit.
Gonna make it a good
maybe you can head down to Boone County and go ski a little bit.
I was gonna say they're getting pummeled with snow.
I know.
Now.
Yeah, I was talking to some friends down there. 6 inches on the ground.
Look out.
It's nuts.
Look out.
Yeah.
How about you guys? What's typically on your, Super Bowl menu?
Yeah, it's right now there's no plans in place. I was talking to my wife about it yesterday, and it's either going to be at home or we're going to find a place. We're open for any and all suggestions.
I love that. I used to really go all out and fancy myself as hosted some Super Bowl get-togethers. Being in Dallas now, I don't have the clientele as well. I don't have as many friends. That's what I'm getting at. I just need to face the music. But I had a couple of Super Bowl specialties that were a lot to make, so they only came out for special occasions. One was a great my go-to Super Bowl appetizer that I would serve at my Super Bowl parties were bacon wrapped water chestnuts and cinnamon with maple syrup. So it's a heart attack on a plate, but
I've had those.
Yeah,
they're good.
Yeah, not a lot of people bust those out. It's kind of a unique dish in the sense that it's goodness on a stick because you give the little.
Say that again. That's a lot of verbiage.
Yes. So you take it takes a while to make because you got to do each one individually, and maybe other people in the comments make them differently. But what I do is I get all you know what water chestnuts are, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So they taste like nothing, but they have a little crunch to them. So roll out a ton of those. And sometimes you could double stack them, but then you roll them in bacon, then dip the bacon in cinnamon and brown sugar. That was the other ingredient. Bake them on a big sheet, and because they each have an individual toothpick on them, so you can grab the toothpick, grab the water chestnut that's wrapped in bacon.
Is that what it sounds like?
Yeah.
Okay. Just had to make sure.
Yes. And then you drizzle a little maple syrup, and I like a little cayenne pepper on them, but that does give it a little, gives it a little spice. So I would sometimes do half and half. And then wings are, there's a lot of that one was truly unique. And then pinwheels were a good go-to. Pepperoni pinwheels, because you can't go wrong with deep fried bread, pepperoni, and some kind of ranch or pizza sauce. So the list goes on and on and on and on and on. But now, some of those days are behind me. I need to bring them back, though.
I think you should. I think you should challenge yourself this Sunday. Could be a party of one, but make yourself the chestnuts. Hey, I'd be there if I could. I'd be your friend.
I appreciate that.
So would Bradford.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Right?
Thank you.
I'll speak for both of us.
Thank you. Thank you. But more realistically, I might be flying to Morgantown to see the fiance and do a little West Virginia basketball during the day. They play on Sunday, and then Super Bowl Sunday by night. That's a tough combination to beat right there.
Yeah. I was gonna say Sid's good with the charcuterie boards.
She is. Yeah. That was
I know that for a fact. So she might have that ready. So you might not have to do anything.
I love it. Yeah.
I know her too well.
You do. That is
some wine, some charcuterie, a little Super Bowl, some Bad Bunny. How do we feel about that, by the way? Are we excited for the Super Bowl halftime?
Two thumbs down. Right. I'm being that guy. I'm sorry. We don't need Bad Bunny. Give me something that maybe the people would be more inclined to enjoy than Bad Bunny. But I know he's got his fans, so I just don't know if the demographic is the same. But everybody watches the Super Bowl, so
that's true. As long as it's entertaining.
Yeah.
Can dance to it.
Yeah, I have such a terrible memory that so much is always made of the halftime artist. And then I couldn't tell you who I would have to be reminded who they were. And then I'd say, oh yeah, that's who did the Super Bowl last year. Like the one at SoFi with all those artists was good, right?
Was that Kendrick Lamar? No,
he
Rihanna,
was last
50
year.
Cent. Rihanna, 50 Cent. A couple others.
Yeah. I think Dr. Dre made an appearance. Snoop Dogg maybe. Yeah. I it's one of those, who you are as far as, know your personnel. That's not my area of expertise. I'm not big on that. I'm not big on, I don't know anything about the music industry, the entertainment industry. So I'll sit back, I'll eat my bacon wrapped water chestnuts and maybe a charcuterie board and enjoy whatever's on the screen.
Fair enough.
All right.
All right. We got John Jansen on next show.
Yeah.
Wednesday.
Absolutely. I can't wait.
Noon Eastern. Be there.
Yeah, that's right. We'll be on time like we always are. All right. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Like the channel, subscribe. #1 sports podcast platform. Bradford Banta, Natalie Kerwin. My name's Jake Riepma. Love you guys. See you later. Bye.